Welcome to the Succeed with Software podcast, brought to you by SuiteDash. Today's episode is from one of the bi-weekly Q&A webinars. To participate live, just follow the link in the description to sign up and submit your questions. Be sure that you're subscribed on YouTube and following us on all social media to get the latest videos and updates about new and existing features. All right, so let's get started. Okay, hello and welcome everyone. This is Mike. I'm the founder and CEO of SuiteDash. Welcome to our Q&A webinar here on Tuesday at noon Eastern Standard Time. All right, so let's start off with everyone. If I can get you to jump into the chat, please find that in your Zoom. Let us know where you're joining us from. Just let me know that you can hear my voice. Hi, Dave from Los Angeles, and Jennifer from we've spoken before. Jennifer's been here before, I think. Yeah, because we is that Covington, Jennifer? Somewhere close by, I think. So my wife is from Cincinnati, so Jennifer and I know that we got some stomping ground, mutual familiarity going on. Okay, very good. So what we'll do, everyone, is we'll go ahead and just get started. Hi, Dave from Los Angeles. Nice to see you. Yeah, I see some questions from Dave. I see some questions from Jennifer, I think. Is Tamara same as, is that you, Jennifer? The last name matches up. I just want to make sure. I have some questions here that were submitted. Okay, good. Okay. All right, so we will start with some questions. But in general, if anyone here is not yet started a free trial, just encourage you to do that. Hey, Coach Tamara. So that's I think we have a couple Tamara participants here from Bentonville. Yes, great. Dave, so we'll do everything by chat. It'll be my voice, your chat, and I have your questions as they were submitted, so we can kind of start with those, and then we will continue step by step, try to get everyone taken care of. Typically, we're able to kind of go into the some detail, but not complete detail, complete build outs and complete thought processes in these kind of webinars because we don't really have the time. But that's what wizarding sessions are for, and we do offer those, of course, at cost, so at the lowest cost possible to you to have someone face to face, human to human, on a Zoom meeting to go over your ideas if you need that, and signing up from a free trial can get you some of those sessions as a bonus. So you'll just check that out on the pricing page. Okay, for those of you who haven't started a free trial, just encourage you to start a free trial, and along your way of learning, do not forget about the help documentation as we see here. And of course, SuiteDash Academy, which you can access from inside your SuiteDash account by clicking right here to Academy. And this will take you, and you can do this from a free trial. You don't need a paid account. It'll take you directly into the Academy where you can go step by step through very well documented videos that can go very deep, many of them. So we do our best to bring you into the software in that way. Okay, so why don't we start with Dave, the first one to jump in. So let's start with Dave, and let's see if we can get to some first understandings here. All right, Dave. So it's okay if I read your questions out loud and go over those things. Okay. Let me put the chat into the screen here so everybody can see. And caution, everyone can see now. So don't type things into the chat that you don't want everyone to see. All right. So Dave is running a digital agency. Great. I'm familiar with that process and unhappy with his current CRM and project management system. Agree. Was also familiar with that process, and that's where everything started a decade or more ago, Dave. So good. Embedded contact form on my website to make making a lead in the deals pipeline. How much exposure do you have yet, Dave, to SuiteDash as a system? Are you really early on in your journey here? So I don't want to replicate some knowledge. Okay, good. So let's do this. The first thing you want to be thinking about is a kickoff form, Dave. So in our system, a kickoff form is sort of the very first thing that you want to be thinking about. When you create a form, you'll have some options: kickoff form, update form, and general form. And then not too very far into the future, like literally days, you'll also see a support ticket form that might come in handy for you. But we're going to be using kickoff form today. And essentially what this is going to do is kick off a process or a workflow for you. And these are designed to be embedded or as standalone landing pages, if you want to use it in that way. But yes, they're designed to be embedded. And I'm going to go ahead and just go back and switch to one that's more built out. But I just wanted to show you that process, starting with the kickoff form. Let's go with, I was just doing here. I think any one of these would be fine. So with your kickoff form, Dave, you're going to define your fields here, and those can be consisting of company or contact, project, custom fields, events. These are things that you'll have to understand. Typically, you're probably working with companies, so you'll want to add the company field here, and then you'll get the company name, and then you can add company custom fields, and that will let you get data on the company. And then your primary contact, you probably want to work in this configuration here. This is typically our most popular configuration for bringing companies into the system. And so what this basically does is creates the company name as a company, and that's who you'll be working with. It will use the company as the target for any assignments or automations, meaning you're working directly with the company. The primary contact is just a person at the company that responds to emails, but that person could change, as we all know. And so in this way, the company becomes the point that you're actually working with, and then you can plug and play that primary contact as needed along the process. So this is why we always want to try to push you towards, if you are indeed working with companies, let's configure everything towards company. And then this gives you a couple options that make life easier in the future. First, that you can switch to primary contact very easily without affecting anything in your system. Everything stays safe, stable. And the only difference is that a new person, a new set of fingers and eyeballs will read emails and respond to emails. But everything else is the same. Okay. Secondly, if you start to work with another company that has the same primary contact, you can still do that as well, because you can say you have a client who has 3 or 4 businesses, but that single individual needs to be the primary contact for all 4. That is also possible, but only in the sense that if you set up each individual company as an individual, each company as an entity that you're dealing with separately, right? But then because they all have the same primary contact, that person is the receiver of emails, replier of emails, the contact person for that. All right. So does that make sense in just a quick company first kind of thing? Absolutely, Dave. Let me get there. Yep. Dave's saying, will this give me the ability to start a project based on company name? Yes. All right. So let's go to the embed side. So let's go to link embed. Just wanted you to see this process. So you have an embed code here, and you'll know how that works. This is a test form where we're testing different functionalities, so don't take too much from the design. But here's your embed code. And what we do that I think you will appreciate, and most agency owners or someone familiar with how this works, we provide you all of the design elements here in the back, including custom CSS. So we let you do all the styling and design changes from our side so that when it arrives in your embed destination, it's already styled. And because, as you know, it's going to be loaded in an iframe, which is the industry standard way of doing things, and targeting elements inside the iframe is nearly impossible. It's not impossible, but it's very, very difficult as far as most people's capabilities. So what this will allow you to do is set everything up so that it matches perfectly the place that you will embed it, including your after submission options, etc. And then when you embed it, it'll look perfect in your spot. And then in addition, you can make it a direct link. We see how they have the direct link here. If you want to create this form as a standalone form, and here's a good example, actually. I always keep this up just for an example. This is a standalone kickoff form, okay? So notice the URL here. And that's achieved by using the friendly URL functionality. So here's the direct link as it's coded, but we allow you to say, you can name it whatever you want, but here you can say project kickoff form, something like that, and create your friendly URL. And now you have this very nice URL that you can say, put on a business card or put at the bottom of your email signature, or in any way pass this cleanly to someone who can use it, see it, understand what it does by the name instead of some undefined hash that you see here. So this is a little bit nicer. And you'll see in this case exactly that here. And so all this is this kickoff form is designed to stand alone. It's got CSS for the background, a little card, and then here's the form part of it. And when the form is submitted, then it works just like you would think, like a normal kickoff form. So there's two options for you in the way to use it. Now, let's go back to the build. You're concerned, your one question is about kicking off a project. I see proposals, contracts, e-sign, invoice. This is in the question you submitted, subscriptions, etc. So let's scroll down to here and let's just go ahead and set, this is already set as client. So I'm going to set it as client because this will open up the most options below. If you set it as lead, you'll need to understand what that indicates. And in our world, lead, prospect, and client may not exactly match how you use those terminologies, but these are not set in stone nomenclatures. You'll need to just understand from our documentation exactly what it means. Very likely you'll bring them in as a prospect after reading those definitions and understanding. Okay, so you'll bring them in as a prospect, and in that sense, you can start, here's a document template. This would be where you have contracts and e-sign. So this template will be designed by you to include all of your static information, and then you'll include dynamic placeholders for things like name, company name, anything, any custom field you can put in here. And those custom fields and data can be entered from this form. So when this form is submitted, it'll send the data. The data will be absorbed by this document template that you call and this will be processed on the submission of this form. The data will be inserted and the document will be ready and sent based on the configurations in the document template. So if you're looking to generate a contract immediately on the submission of the form, this is where you would do that. Okay. And here in the document title, you see all the placeholders here. This is how you can uniquely name each contract based on data that's submitted. Now here's some additional assignments and automations, things like event generators, email marketing audience. Here's your proposal generator. So you'll have a predefined proposal. It's conceivable. I see you mentioned that. Down here, you won't find invoice generators yet. You won't find those kind of things because we need to be in client role for invoices to show up. But if you are using clients, you can trigger invoice generators based on that. So there's tons of options here, and understand that each time this form is submitted, what we call the target, which is the person on the other side of this form. When they submit it, each one of these assignments and automations will be triggered relative to that target. So any data submitted by that target will be used in all of these automations. So each time this form is submitted, all of these automations that you have configured will be fired. Okay. And you can have options here for sending invites to the portal, so you can start them down that road, etc. So there's a lot to learn here about kickoff forms. And why is there a lot to learn? Because this is really the very beginning of your funnel. This is the first level of your funnel. And what you'll want to do, and I see there's a lot of complexity here in the way that you're describing. You're describing a lot of elements, but not necessarily a workflow. So you'll want to sketch out on a paper or some software a workflow in order how you would like everything done. And then you'll be building generators. You'll be building various, using circles to control processes. You'll be doing all that. You'll create subscription plans. I see you say your business is based in subscriptions. So let's look here. We'll go into the office and show you. Our SuiteDash has its own subscription model. It means we don't just set up a subscription at Stripe, for example. You create the plans here. We run the entire subscription engine here at SuiteDash, which gives us all the capabilities to do anything we want, regardless of the gateway you choose. So very, very powerful. And as you add your plans, this is the plan that will define the parameters of how the billing works every so many days, never expires. You have all these options here. So you're defining if they go on, say, like a $30 a month or $300 a year or whatever your subscription is, you define it here. And then when that plan is used in an invoice and is paid with a credit card, then that turns into what is called an actual subscription. Okay, so this subscription is unique to each contact that has a subscription. It'll be listed here, the plan, the gateway, all the details, and then you can adjust or you can cancel or do whatever you need to do from this UI. Okay, so you can cancel from here, they can cancel from their side, etc. And these are automatic subscriptions, just so you know. So that this must be a plan, must be on an invoice that is paid with a credit card. And when that happens, then the subscription is started and the credit card is used on the schedule defined by the plan to bill automatically, like your Netflix subscription. And I think that's what you're asking about. Okay. Does that make sense so far, Dave? How easy for a client to update their credit card. Okay, let me see if I can show that. Okay. It's easier for clients. Yeah, good. That's what I was actually looking at too. So if we go to this is a client login. Let me make sure it would be set up correctly here. Pardon me. Yep. Okay, so this one is, you can add a new payment method here and you can remove a payment method. There's some styling issues. I think I have some custom CSS running on this account. But yes, here in this My Billing dashboard, they'll see everything that has action needed. These are typically like a estimate or an invoice, and there's lots of them in here. Again, that's a test account. Here's their active subscriptions. Here's some reporting, some lifetime summaries, and those kind of things of open invoices, pending estimates, etc. And this is where they would control their subscriptions would be listed. Here's where they would control their bank accounts and credit cards that they have on file with you. And if they have credit card on file, you're able to satisfy invoices even from your side using that payment information. So it's very convenient. Once you get their credit card or bank information on file, you're able to satisfy invoices manually from your side. They are able to use those cards when they are, say, if they were paying like a recurring invoice, which to be clear, is different from a subscription. A recurring invoice means that they're going to come in each month is the most common, and pay that invoice as it's issued. Come in and pay it, come in and pay it. But they have to manually do that, as opposed to a subscription where it happens automatically. Okay, one sec here. Okay, good. Yeah, very cool, right? Well, like I said, uh, I ran an agency for a long time, 20 years, something like that. So I run into all these problems, and I wish that we would have had tools like this back in the day, and that's why they exist now, because we were so desperate for them, and everything that we tried to use was just not quite right, or the branding was really bad, or the experience was bad in some way. So really all grew out of a very similar situation that you find yourself in. The automations are going to blow your mind. You're going to love it. And someone in your position, Dave, I just have to, I really have no hesitation to say, someone in your position with technical background, with technical, probably very logically minded kind of thing. The more you dig into this, you're going to get really excited, especially with the automations, especially once you have your workflow going, and you start to put things in and solidify and quantify and make things and start the design. And your goal is going to be to create a replicatable over and over process / workflow that can be distilled down into automations, or at the next step away from that is auto templates. Okay. So auto templates are essentially an automation of maybe a 4 or 5 step automation. Depends on, it really doesn't matter how many, but you can create as many automations as you want and add them into this stack, right? So let's just say I want to add another thing, another thing, another thing. This stack of automations is all going to be triggered when this auto template gets fired. Okay. So it can be 8, it can be 10, it can be 1, doesn't matter. But what we encourage you to do in cases where you can't hook an automation to a trigger in a way that doesn't require any human interaction, there are many cases where you may have several scenarios. So what we encourage you to do is create an auto template for each scenario. And then when you recognize a scenario, you or your staff, it's very easy for you at that point to then just bring up the company that you're trying to work with. You're saying, okay, now I've just got off the phone with them. They gave me some information. They want scenario A. Doesn't matter what it is. And you trained your staff. When they choose scenario A, you come here and you choose trigger auto template. So here we are. Let's count the clicks. 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever that is. Scenario A, trigger 5. So 5 clicks from the dashboard of whatever. And then in 5 clicks, you've now launched another, who knows, 4 automations that move this person there and reclassify them in this other way and change the value of a custom field over here, launches a particular project generator, which is which is exactly perfect for that scenario, et cetera, et cetera. And so you can really distill down what could take in your world 15-20 minutes to send the right emails, to move the right spreadsheet, to do these kind of things, just to process that reality. If you distill them down in these auto templates, which will do this automatically for you, then the auto templates do the work, and 5 clicks later you're on to the next thing. So that's what you're going for at the least. And just to be a little bit more clear, let me try to bring up something that I think I end up showing this like at every webinar. Yep, here it is. Okay. Okay, so this is what I mean. What we try to encourage you to do is build these automations in your workflows. This is your workflow. This is your target, as we said, the unknown person on the other side visiting your website or landing page or whatever it is. This is the end result, the end of the game where you get paid. Everybody's happy. Okay. So what we're in this kickoff form is going to be right here. It's going to start a series of automations. It's going to start some things along. Those things, it's going to be in their court, right? Data is getting sucked up and moved to you. Then it lands at what we call a checkpoint or a human interaction point. And at this point, this is where you identify these scenarios, because we understand that you can't fully automate every workflow, every process. Let's automate the ones you that we can, but there are places where a human needs to look and make a decision. And for these places, this is where we encourage you to create these auto templates to cover the scenarios, and then your human only chooses which scenario and applies an auto template, which then kicks you back on this automation slide. Everything's happening automatically in the background until it kicks out again to this next checkpoint. Or maybe this is where all the work happens, right? And then you select an auto template for the approval automation process that you design. So everything goes out, and then maybe you have an automation process for after delivery where it educates them. Okay, so now you have this website and you have this digital presence. Here are some things you need to be thinking about. Here's some realities that will happen that you will notice. Here's what we expect. Here's what you can expect. And if you do this in a standardized way across and use with processes, you're going to have that same customer service level, really high customer service level, where you have this after care and feeding process after delivery. I mean, let's be honest, if you don't automate it, you're probably not going to have the energy and time to do that with every client. But if you automate it and build it one time and constantly add to it every time you think of something new, then each one of these clients is going to get this super high level of customer service and information and education. It's going to make your job easier. Those questions are going to be answered. They're not going to call you and ask questions. You're going to have your reputation is going to be good. Your word of mouth is going to be good. So, the more things that you can do in that way, the better, clearly. Okay. All right. So let's stick there for a second. I'm going to read your question just a little bit more. Communication flows between me, my team, and my client. Yeah. So I'm going to move on and not jump into the project management side, but yes, project management, I'll be a little bit, I'm going to try to do this in 2 minutes or so, and then we'll move to some other questions. Project management is quite robust. It will take some time, but I'm going to recommend that you go to YouTube, because there's a treasure trove here. YouTube.com/SuiteDash is our channel. Go to videos. Let's look for everything you need, really should be here in one way or another. As far as deep, like here's project generators. I would encourage you to watch this one when you relate to projects. This will explain to you how you can predefine projects, predefine tasks, pre-assign tasks, put them in phases. Really, I mean, you can completely script out an entire website build, for lack of anything more complex than that. But yes, you completely script it out, assign it to the correct people in your team. Yes, the client can bring in tasks. Yes, the client can be involved in the project. There is project client talk and team talk messaging inside the project. Everything is very private, very controlled. In my opinion, it's just as it should be for the way most teams work in this kind of paradigm. So try this one. Also, all these other ones are great. Yeah, there's just so much good information here that you can spend a lot of time listening to my voice. And if that's not your bag, I apologize. But there's some Taylor joints in here too. You can listen to Taylor some. Taylor's awesome. So there's a lot to go to here and go over. So Dave, you have a good long road ahead of you. What's great about it, and what I want to make sure everybody understands, is SuiteDash is intended to be like an operating system for your business. Okay. It's not just a software that you plug into and throw a few things at and get some benefit from. This is designed and capable of you creating an entire infrastructure, an entire workflow, many sets of workflows that are friendly to your clients, to your staff, to you. It's designed to let you collate all of these tasks into very definable processes and packages that can be called like these auto templates. It's designed to let you build and layer your processes over time, right? So on day one, your process might be meh, right? On day 5, you go back and you do a little more work on it. It's getting better. But think about on day 365 of you having experiences with clients going through it, experiences with your team going through it, and you improve and get better. It's going to take that. It's going to take a little time for it to really sync up with your business and the way you're doing things. But after that, and as you reach those points, you're going to see incredible gains in efficiency, reduction in mistakes. And as we said before, your clients will get incredible customer service as far as an experience because you're slowly layering and building this experience and exposing each client to the same consistent experience that you built over time using these processes. Okay. I love it. Okay. All right, let's move on to you're welcome, Dave. I wish I could solve everything for you. It's just not doable. Yeah. So don't know your business and the way you want to do things 100%, but I know you will figure it out and I think you will enjoy the process. Okay, so I also see Jamie or Tamara. Which one do you want here, Jamie? Can I say Jamie? Well, I see one. There's someone. I think the question is whoever I'm referring to. Hey there. This calculating custom field issue. I would say the best thing to do is please go through support. And if you can record a video, a screencast video showing exactly what you are trying to achieve and showing your formulas, context, etc. They helped you. Okay, good. Yes, because that's really in this forum, it will be a lot of back and forth until things are understood. So very good. Oh, really? Okay. A browser extension. Probably a password manager. I've had that happen before. Yeah, password managers or those kind of things like to. Grammarly and I have had some fights before, but yeah, all those things are great, but they do like to jump into these text fields and form fields and wreak havoc occasionally. Okay, good. All right, so that was solved. Let's look for some other. Hey, Coach Tamara, how are you? Good to see you. How's the Propel business? Are you propelling? Great name, ipropelyou.com. Awesome. Okay, so let's go ahead and yes, ma'am. Let's go through Tamara's questions, and then Jamie has a question as well, and we'll get to that, Jamie. Great. So Tamara says, can you have multiple products and services in a proposal to give clients the opportunity to select, which will then generate an estimate, invoice, and corresponding agreement? Not yet, Tamara, but we are moving in that direction. Absolutely. So I'll give you a little bit of insight as to the development process here. So we are building a new payment block is a good way to reference it. We also call it a shopping block that will be backed by a payment block. But essentially, on the front end, in starting with landing pages, sales funnel builder, these are the kind of these publicly exposed places, and then eventually into kickoff forms, your customers will be able to, your targets will be able to pay directly in that place. In addition, they'll be able to choose like a shopping block, like a shopping experience from a predefined set of items, packages, add-ons. Okay. So we have an entire, this is all predefined already, and it's already in the pipeline. It's already placed in order as needed. And then based on the amount totaled from those predefined packages and with their choices, the payment will be there for them immediately to make, and then move them into the next step of your workflow, whatever that may be. Okay. So it's one of our major focuses to give you as many options as possible to define these packages and then have that sort of landing page experience where they choose, shop, and check out. ETA is tough, but I think for sure before 2024. So, at the end of this year. So we're in September now. So basically fourth quarter is what we're looking at. We're 2-3 days away from releasing support tickets. There's an ETA for you because that one has been coming for a long time, but we're really, really, really there. And it's just in the last final stages. That's been our real focus, along with building the building blocks, moving towards a payment block landing page experience. Landing pages will be, is a new concept, will be released this week. So this week, you'll see a lot of things become more clear on the path to where you are just asking about right now, tomorrow. Yep. And what's awesome, so let me just kind of, again, get excited a little bit. Imagine, though, that in most platforms, you have the choice of these items that really might not mean that much. It's an item that I type a title and description. But in our platform, we have the option to, because we control all the pieces and parts, these items can be things like LMS products and number like six video appointments with me, 6 appointments as an let's include that as an item as well. And maybe a time block, like 20 hours of work, if you charge by the hour. And you can even, not now and not the second it's delivered, but this is our plan, is to be able to create these item types, right? So types of items that are related to functionality. So an LMS item type and a appointment scheduling item type and a time block item type. So you can put together a package that says, okay, when you buy this package, you get access to this LMS path product, whatever you call it. You'll get 6 appointments with me, and each time they use one, it'll be deducted. There will be a tally. You'll get, of course, you'll define the appointment types and things like that. You'll get 20 hours of one-on-one help, and then that'll integrate tightly with the timer functionality, so that when you want to start a timer with that person, you'll choose their name, and it will know the balance of the number of hours. And then that timer will actually load the balance. And when you click start, it'll count backwards instead of forwards from that balance until it gets close to 0. And then it'll send an email to you. We have a configuration for how to, as it gets close to 0, it will alert you or trigger some automation. We could do anything we need there. And then just continue that, like access to files. But we can create any type of functionality items that we want, package them together for a price. And when that price is paid, each one of those things will be validated for that person. And they will own that whatever was defined in that package and have access to it inside the platform, inside your portal. So these are really cool things. And one of the things, the first steps in that direction you'll see, which is coming soon, is this ability to create items, packages, and add-ons. And as part of that, each item will have the ability to trigger automations. So just as you see here, imagine this is a list of items that you can add to invoices. You'll be able to say, okay, when they add this item and pay for it, and when the invoice gets paid that includes this item, you'll have access to to our entire automation suite to trigger based on just the purchase of that item. So in that way, you can control on an item level what automations get triggered when they check out. So the flexibility and power of a system like that is really unrivaled. It's going to be very difficult to find a situation that you can't deal with those tools. Good. I know. And I wish it was today. But it is like I said, it's the development. It's one of the development paths that we have that is 100% got a huge bulldozer behind it and is pushing. Let's do it faster. Let's move this out of the way. Let's get these things out. And so you can tell that this has been thought about. I think just from the way I'm describing it, this is not the first time that we are thinking about this. The whole path is defined. Now it's just step by step to create it. And you'll see it play out. You'll see it play out this quarter. Awesome. Okay, so you say again, or the next part of your question is trying to determine the best way to organize items and what's available for a particular item to, i.e. items in invoice indicates it's 4 appointments. How do I set up? Okay, there you go. There you go, coach. All right, so you're saying, so for that, you're trying to use custom field math, I think, for the 4 appointments and how much to show, right? Okay, I think so. Let me look really quick. Let's go here. Okay. So this is not the one this is close enough. This chart, this is not the same thing, but I can show you this. This chart is powered by a custom field, the value of a custom field. Okay. Same as these charts. These charts are powered by the value of a custom field, which means it's individual for each client. Okay. So let's look at what that setup looked like from this side. And where I'm going with everyone that's listening, just to be clear, what Coach Tamara has done is set up a custom field for the sole purpose of tracking a tally, which can be anything. It can be a score. It can be a number of referrals. It can be a gamification. You can do just about anything with this. But notice here, I've said podcast onboarding progress. Okay. And I've set the company, the type of the usage. And then here's the type. It has to be a number custom field. And then here in this one, I think. No. Here, I think. Yeah. Okay. So notice this progress bar is one of the blocks that you can get from here. Okay. And I'll go and edit this. Here's the value, the label. But when you go here, you can set the source, the data source. So the data source can be set as just anything, which is boring, right? So what it means is no matter who looks at this page, no matter which client looks at this page, it's just going to show 90, which I don't even know what the application there is. Maybe it's good for you in the way you're using it. But much more powerful is you say, oh, I want the data source for this chart to be a custom field value. Understand that custom field, when you create one like podcast onboarding progress, it creates a new column or a new cell in every single client's profile, a new empty data space. Okay. Each client can have a unique piece of data, a unique value in that data space. So you may have 1,000 clients and that their onboarding progress can be 1,000 different values, technically, right? Each one can have their own unique value stored in that space. So this means that now this is dynamic depending on which client looks at this generic dashboard that you're creating for this workflow to be used over and over again, no matter which client runs through it, which target. It's going to go and find the value for that particular prospect or client and return it. That's why it says 50 right here. Why does it say 50? Because we don't really know the value. It's just showing you, yeah, this is what it would be if it was 50. And let's look at a better example. Let me go back actually here. This is always a good example to get across this. Maybe I should log in first. Okay. Let's go to Portal Pages. What's this? Go here. Okay, so this is a good example. This payroll dashboard is intended, again, to be a generic dashboard for clients fitting the description of payroll circle. These clients do payroll with us. So you can create a dashboard that just, and this one is just to illustrate the dynamic capabilities. This single image, the data source is a contact custom image, the avatar of the client. Okay. These are data placeholders for, as you see, first name, last name, company name. And the same situation is going on here with these charts. They're powered by custom fields. Now watch what happens when I preview. So if I preview, it's saying, well, I can't show you a preview yet because I don't know which client you'd like to see this. You'd simulate here. So now if I say, okay, well, show me what it would look like when this client logs in. Now it's going to that profile and grabbing the data. Here's the profile picture, first and last name, company name. And these are the associated numbers in those custom fields, now displaying properly to this client. Or if I change to a different client, I get different numbers, right? So now you've created this dashboard that's constantly feeding the correct data to the correct clients, but it's only one dashboard that you build a workflow around. You say, if you fit this certain description based on your circle affiliation, typically, you're going to land here, and it's going to show you a static dashboard, but with dynamic data, right? And this is kind of usually what you'll be going for because it's less work. It's 100% replicatable. And you create a workflow that goes from top to bottom in the same way every time for every client. They see all the same experience, but the data is unique. So what Coach Tamara is trying to set up is showing them, which is quite easy, actually. It's just something like this. Where you show them a data placeholder that is the number of appointments you have left. And then each time you have an appointment, you will use an automation typically to, here's a good example tomorrow. Like if I was going to take this one and replace it with a custom field of some kind, then it would return the number of the custom field there. And you could just say you have this many left, 1 or 4 or 3. But let's go back to the automation side. So the goal, I think, and maybe what you're having a challenge with tomorrow is this idea of after the appointment, you'll want to somehow trigger the change of the value of the custom field, which is using custom field math, current value -1. Let's go here. So one thing we don't have is the configuration of automations when the appointment is concluded, because there's not an actual piece, there's not an actual hook there. Well, all we could do is say, well, if it's an hour-long appointment, then we can just trigger this every time after. If it's a 2 p.m. appointment, then we trigger it at 3 o'clock every single time. Maybe that would work for you. But if that was the case, then you could open this automation and say, oops, sorry. When this automation gets fired, I want to set the custom field value. And here you'll choose this podcast. I'm going to choose that just to clear podcast onboarding progress. And as you see here, you can use this math. Okay, one sec. You take current value. In your case, -1. Okay, so this will always keep a current value -1. And, yeah, I remember I have a perfect So this will always work. It'll take, if it's a 4, the result after this is triggered will be a 3, et cetera, et cetera. And then the idea is you can use the logic engine to detect a zero condition and then trigger another way forward there. So let me look here. I believe it's in this video. Let me just look really quick.
Hello and welcome, everyone. This is Mike.
So in this video, Autopilot, we go through this entire example, I believe. It's this one. Yes, here it is. Okay, good. So here's where we use the logic engine to detect if the custom field value, as you can see here, one sec, let me make this bigger. I'll let this work. So here we say if the custom field value, and this is where Dave's going to start getting excited. Dave's going to probably sitting there just rubbing his hands going, oh boy, this is going to be fun. So this trigger logic engine sits and scans all the time based on your conditions. Okay. So if you use that process that we talked about before tomorrow, where you're saying current value -1, current value -1, that works until it gets to 0, right? Because then it doesn't work. Then everything's going to go crazy and they get free appointments and whatever. Well, no, because what we'll do is we'll watch this custom field always. And if that custom field value equals, we choose it, 0, then configure fire these automations. And in this case, we fire an on-demand invoice generator, which means it's an invoice generator that's ready to go. All it needs to be do is called. And in this case, this on-demand generator, you'll see if you watch the entire process here, we'll send them an invoice for 5 more credits. And also what we'll do here is I can't remember how we did it. Oh yeah, I do know now. Yeah, watch this whole thing. It'll be really eye-opening. Essentially it resets your process back to okay, now it's time for you to pay for 5 more credits. Now you don't have access to create an appointment. Now you don't have access in the dashboard. So we hid part of the dashboard based on the 0 property or the 0 condition. And then when they pay the invoice generator, so you see how we did that with an automation. And then in an invoice generator, you will define what automations will be associated when the invoice generated from the generator, I said that right, is paid. Okay, so here's your invoice generator. And this is not an invoice proper. It's a factory that makes invoices, is the best way for me to describe it, based on how you configure it here. So here's going to be the name of the invoice. We're using placeholders. Here's the items that are going to be on the invoice. We have something called dynamic items, which is super cool. There's a video on that. And then here, you can set the automations. And what you'll do here is when this invoice is paid, you're going to change the value of custom fields, right? You're going to call it, in this case, you're going to say current value. Current value plus 5. That way, even if they pay the invoice somehow and they end up have 1, I don't know, maybe there's a situation where they have 1 or 2 credits, we move them back up 5. Now they have 7, or if they were at 0, which is typically the case, they'll be back up to 5. And you can trigger any other emails, etc., or any other automations. So now when the invoice is paid, boom, they'll be back to 5. Boom, they'll be ready to start making appointments with you again. And this can be a cycle that does not need to be attended. Okay, it just constantly works on its own. And the cool part is you're selling those appointment credits ahead of time, which, as we all know, is a great way to do business. Yeah. So there's so many. Let me see if I can so this is the autopilot for your business video. The other thing I just referenced, invoice generators. I would encourage you to watch this one, invoice generators here. This one's fantastic. Really goes through all the generator types that we have and the use case for each. Dave, I think you will totally love what's called accumulating generators, which I've never seen anywhere else and comes completely out of the world that we built, the agency world. And that is, if you have a client that says, just bill me every month for everything you do. Okay. So what you do is you create an accumulating generator. You set it to produce an invoice every month based on what is currently sitting in that accumulating generator. So it's kind of like a holding place. So what you do is every month, as you are finishing up a timer, as you are adding expenses, maybe even, you add them all to that accumulating generator. You go in there and you add it, save, add it, and save. Nothing's happening until the schedule day arrives, the schedule of generation. And when that happens, it takes all the items that are sitting there and it creates an invoice from all those items, and then it wipes clean the accumulating generator for the next month. You can make that, when it creates the invoice, you can make it as draft, or if you want to go fully automated and no checks, don't want to waste or spend any time doing these things, I'm very confident. You can have that accumulating generator create a live invoice, send it immediately to the client. And what this does is it helps you bill for everything, right? So, of course, we know that if you don't take the time to go in, make notes properly, or add things to invoices properly, you can get a lot of things that are not paid for. So you and your staff, your only job is to go to the invoice generator, the appropriate one, and add the items. So here, let's go to accumulating generators. Here we are. And here's one that's active, monthly legal standing services. So I go in here and I'll just add the item. Notice there's no items here, and that's because every 1 month, this thing is generating an invoice from the items that are sitting here, and then it wipes this clean. So this is a way that you can constantly make sure that you just instruct your staff, or you just go add it to this accumulating generator, and that's the last time you have to think about it. This accumulating generator will do the job of creating the invoice, sending it to the client, and then they can pay it right away. But again, that's a short explanation. Watch the video. It'll be very clear. Jamie says, hi, Jamie. Great stuff. Any way to add a comma to the number formatting? You mean for thousands or for like the Europeans type of presentation? For thousands. I think there are numbers, but if it's not, where maybe it's a place or a situation that you can identify, send it to support. That'd be good. Yep. Just screenshot it, send it, say what's going on here. Shouldn't it have a comma here? Anywhere that it should, we will. Absolutely. Okay, Tamara says, and guys, for now, if you're here, just throw your questions in. We're running low on time, so I'm going to move the questions in the chat. Is there a way to use a page or something else to act as a community post where comments collaboration is enabled, like an article, post, or question to community where those who have access can comment, like, etc.? Well, Tamara, you are well, here's how I know that you and I are on the same page, right? Because I know we personally talked about a lot of these things about 6 months ago, and for sure we have been moving in all these directions. And so that I want you to remember that when I give this next answer, because I'm not just saying all these things. Community is something we are already started on. So you will be able to create not just one community, but multiple communities that will act in very much the way you describe, like a forum, essentially, a place where you can create a topic. You can include any combination of your prospects, clients, or staff, and as part of that community. And there will be the ability to have threaded conversation, comments, reactions, all those things, as you might expect from any type of community forum. So that is a feature that will be coming soon. And in fact, It is planned as a power up, so you should know that. But you should also know that we do plan to offer it at a ridiculously low price to customers who are customers when that sale is announced. So you guys will have the ability to jump in early with a grandfathered price that is, again, very, very low so that it's achievable. Of course, we can't make everything free, but we do our best. We're trying to give you guys any kind of advantage we can, especially for those of you who have been around for a long time and are part of the community. That's how we'll roll that out. And that is, again, underway. And I think it still can be realistic to expect it in the fourth quarter of this year or first quarter next year. That is the plan. Not a promise, but a plan. Okay. So we're listening. Yes, we are tomorrow. And I think that's exactly what you're after. And again, that's going to be an item, like a way, something that you can include in a package, the access to that community. Maybe you have a bronze, silver, and gold package, and you have 3 different communities for different levels of, and very likely, actually, there won't be 3 different communities. Will indicate certain sections or threads inside a community can be reserved for people in certain circles. So you'll be able to adjust the look and feel experience and access to parts of the community based on these kind of levels, if you so choose. Okay. Curious if you could show me how to find the roles and permissions. The chat dog, yep, Mr. Kevin told me that's where I need to go. Sometimes Kevin is an AI. He is an AI, as you know, and there's this thing called AI hallucinations, and it's an industry-wide issue. That look it up; it's pretty cool to read about. So this is something that in ChatGPT, etc., it's proven to be very difficult to keep the AI from just kind of making things up or pulling knowledge from places that you told it not to, but it still does. So we've noticed that Kevin will give some answers occasionally that just like have no basis in reality. I don't know what app he's talking about, but it's proven to be difficult for us to control. And in general, if you search AI hallucination problem, that's the term they've given to this hallucination, which I think is comical a little bit. It's a tough one to solve. So as AI gets better, I think Kevin will get better. The answer to your question is we don't have adjustable roles and permissions or the ability to create your own custom roles. Our roles are defined in the help documentation would be where I'd say to start. And you can learn about the default ways that roles work here. Leads, these are our external roles. Staff is the internal roles. It's all described here. But it's not always completely along these lines. And what I mean is that in some situations, we offer in some settings the ability for you to adjust who can see what, who can interact with what. So here's a decent example where you say, allow all admins to view all projects. This is, I think, by default off. I can't remember if it's default on or off in new accounts. But maybe you don't want all admins to view all projects. Maybe you do. And then so there's granular controls that allow you to make adjustments in places where it's very common for you to want, you or someone else in the community want a different functionality. So we provided these here in places where they make sense. Okay. Let me come back to that just in a second, Jennifer. It's possible to change a client back to prospect if they don't pay. Not yet tomorrow, but it's something we'll eventually get to. We hear that occasionally, but it's not the first thing on our list. Possible to reorganize, put some logical group sections. Yes, tomorrow, CRM custom fields, you would want to, yes, you can change the order, and yes, you can group them. Not in sections, but the way that we provide to group them is and let's go to custom fields. Custom field categories. I think that's the best thing I could say now without getting too deep. So go to the documentation and type in custom field categories. Yep. Okay. And this is your article to read about this. So what this essentially allows you to do is if you have clients of different types and each type has a specific group of custom fields that's important for that type, you don't want to, if you have 25 custom fields for each of those types, you don't want to see all the custom fields on every type. So custom field categories help you show and hide the correct custom fields based on the type of client. And reordering, I think I have a dashboard here. Yes. Okay. So if you go to quick edit here tomorrow on any CRM dashboard, you'll see that you have this ability to select favorites, and this will help you reorder in this view, right? So once you favorite something, like if you want to say, okay, company values, this is the one I really want to see when I open this. So once you favorite it, you can move to the top. And then each time you need to go and change this value, if it's a value that you change often, when you click quick edit, it'll be right there available to you first thing without scrolling. Another place to look for reordering is in CRM settings. You'll see the default fields are here. These can be enabled or disabled. And here you have all the custom fields can be set visible or required and reordered here. Okay. But no, not sections in the way you say, but more so divided, the ability to show hide groups of them based on which client or type of client you're looking at. I think that's a little bit more accurate. Okay. Sure, two parts is adding the ad. Okay, no, the thing is both. Well, visible to the client is kind of up to you. When this is visible to staff side. But on each custom field, if I go to manage custom fields here, it's a shortcut. For each custom field, you have the ability to show to the client in their profile, so they can see it and edit it in their profile, which they access from here. And then as far as displaying the value, if you don't want to allow that and you want to display the value back to the client, you'll do that with a dynamic data placeholder on either a dashboard or a portal page, if that's clear. Okay, and then last question. This will probably take us out. Jennifer says, and then how can I allow only the lead contacts to the salesperson to show up on their dashboard? Great. Right now, anyone not attached to a salesperson is showing on theirs. And I only want the ones that are attached to them to show. Well, it's designed like that, Jennifer, and I'll explain why. And then I want to clarify with you how you would like to see it. So salesperson functionality is designed around the idea that each company or contact can have a salesperson, and then anyone that does not have an assigned salesperson would be available for the salespeople to claim. So imagine a table full of leads and the salesperson are walking all around the table. When they grab one off the table, that's claimed for them. At that point, no one else can see it, depending on your settings. So you can make it like that. And let's go to CRM settings just to be clear. Here's salesperson visibility right here, salesperson claim visibility. And there's two options, shared and exclusive. You can read about these in documentation. Shared is shared is the less the least restrictive, and exclusive is very restrictive based on the rules explained in the text. But it sounds like what you want, and let's contrast what we have and what you want. So what we have is the ability that they're all visible to all salesperson until, in exclusive mode especially, until a salesperson claims one. a client, and then that client becomes invisible to everyone. I think what you want is that all leads class slash all prospects, it's that we'll call them, are invisible to all salespersons until a prospect is assigned to a salesperson, and then they are visible only to that salesperson. Yeah. Interesting. Yeah, that's valid. Yeah. So what that would be for us would be we'd have to make it we don't have that capability at this moment, but it doesn't seem too far away from what we could accomplish. I was trying to think if you could. So here's my thought process about how to maybe solve this in the short term, possibly. Custom menus is super powerful way for you to define how this menu will look for each individual person in your staff or your clients. Okay. And you do that using this tooling here. So if we went to CRM and we said, okay, let's manage the visibility and let's just hide CRM completely from the salesperson role. In this way, if we did this, then your salesperson would never, all salesperson would not be able to see this necessarily. Now I'm going to think out of the box here a little bit, so stick with me, and I will caution that this is probably not the recommended path, but this is what I would try if I were you, and this is what Dave would try too. Dave knows. So here's what I would do. I would see if you look at the URL below this contacts here. You see it at the bottom of my browser. That's a static URL. So I might copy this link, and then I might make a new menu item called sales. When I wouldn't call it this, but just for salesperson CRM for kicks here. And then I'm going to use a relative link, which relative links will work like this. So basically, it'll take the top level domain, whatever it is, and then add this to whatever it is. And that way you don't have to worry about any cross domain kind of things. So now we are linking to this. And here's what I might do. I might say, let's go ahead and create an icon. So I noticed there's a little UI issue here with this button. Probably a little JS build action. So now I've created this new menu item for salesperson CRM. And instead of CRM, which I've hidden from salespersons, now I'm going to create this new menu item that hard links, and I'm going to not show it to anybody except for a salesperson. But yeah, this won't work. Yeah, I realize now. What we need is a team menu item visibility. So circles is our grouping mechanism for contacts or externals. Teams is our grouping mechanism for internals. If we had that ability, you could, for example, not show it to salesperson. And if this was team, you could show it only for certain teams. And then you could create an automation where when you assign that salesperson to someone, you could add that salesperson to a team, in which case they'd see this. Yeah, it's not a good workaround. I should just stop. It's close though. It's a direction, but it's not going to work for you. So what you need is that setting that can hide all salespersons. Okay. I have a note. I have a note already. I've made it in my head, and I'm going to get it down. So that's possibility. Yeah, it's not that far. It's really just a binary change from my initial thinking. But as far as planning it and getting it out, we have so many priorities right now. But I will try to see if we can work it in if it passes the logic test in the group. Okay. Does it seem like you'll be able to solve it though, Jennifer? That's good. That's good. Okay, good. All right, Jamie. Thank you very much. Yep, absolutely. Anytime. And you can come back as many times as you need to, ask your questions, get everything. Hopefully just some light bulbs. That's the best I can usually do here. We can try to follow it as much as possible, but there are other resources available to you, and I would encourage that. So But again, thank you guys. A lot of great ideas come from you. We take a lot of value out of these webinars and enjoy it. And I often say this is sometimes the most enjoyable part of my day. I get to just relax and talk to you guys. Okay, so thanks everyone. Have a great rest of your day. I hope it was very helpful. See you again soon. Thank you. Bye, Dave. Bye.